I think that polarization and disinformation coming from Russian-influenced media, these are the two main threats facing Georgian media today. The big broadcasters are usually either under the control of the government or the opposition political parties, which means that there is a real critical media problem in the country right now. I think that the solution is to overcome this polarization and freeing businesses from government influence so they can invest more money in the media.
Two biggest threats to independent journalism in Serbia. The cynical answer would be the president and his brother. Of course, it's much more complicated than that. The state itself has a documented history of violence against media workers. This goes as far as murdering our colleagues. Current regime will not try to take your life away, but is certainly trying to make it as miserable as possible. Why is this seemingly so easy? I believe it has to do with the status of journalists themselves, ourselves. I'm talking about our physical safety, our social perception due to organized smearing campaigns, and finally due to our working rights that are basically non-existent. What's most important for maintaining independent journalism? I think the shortest possible answer is professionalism. Government doesn't play well, but we simply have to. We cannot be allowed to be dragged in this mud of criminals, tabloids, secret police. I think we should set high professional standards and stick to them. I think this is the only way to truly offer a different paradigm.
Opinion, the biggest threats and the biggest chances for journalism today are money and emotions. Public debates are very emotional and easily manipulated. Kind of parallel media societies are growing, and so-called alternative truth is triggering fears and rejection. The result is a lot of people are against everything. Journalism often lacks money and time, so like the cheapest effects you get is if you react quickly on some shitstorms. But emotions and money can be chances as well, I believe. Emotions if they are reflected and not manipulated, and money if it's spent correctly for responsible and constructive media work. So there are 4 little steps for a better life for media workers and users: feel and reflect, stop and breathe, think and think again, and pay for products.
Hello guys, thanks for this opportunity. So edit my speech freely. If it's too long, just cut something out of it. Hi, I hope you have a wonderful event. So I think the 2 biggest threats to journalism in Hungary are self-censorship and government pressure. Increasing government pressure is narrowing the scope for independent journalists. They don't get government advertising as they used to. They are subject to online overload attacks like DDoS and legal proceedings. And the pro-government media regularly launch smear campaigns against free journalists. At the same time, the government does not give interviews to the media they consider oppositional. Journalism training is also in a difficult situation in Hungary, with fewer and fewer newsrooms and universities training independent journalists with strong ethical standards. Perhaps the most important thing for preserving the independence of journalism is to raise media awareness. We need to show and teach people how to consume content and how to be critical. We are lagging far beyond in this Central and Eastern Europe. I think that increasing media literacy also strengthens the resilience of our societies and therefore of the European Union. especially now when deepfake, artificial intelligence and fake news are increasingly spreading and being used for political purposes, violating the democracies we have built. Thank you. Have a nice evening. Bye-bye.
Journalism in the Republic of Moldova is facing a big challenge right now, the human resources crisis. One of the questions I hear more and more often from my colleagues is, don't you know someone who would like to come to our newsroom to write news, cover topics of interest, to work on investigations? Today, a good part of the newsrooms operate without enough people. We are wondering, in these circumstances, where is journalism headed? Why does this job, so exciting and vibrant, no longer attract so many people? Another problem is, of course, the financial condition of independent newsrooms. How much independent journalism would survive if there were no grants? There are more problems to list. For example, let's not forget the attempt of certain politicians and oligarchs to concentrate their own media holdings. But what can we do to keep independent journalism alive? First, it is to bring people into the profession who care about telling the truth.
It is obviously very difficult to be able in this new digital era to maintain independence of journalism. I think in Kosovo and anywhere else there should be ways in which more donors, Western donors, have their inputs with the local media in order to save them from the propaganda that comes from other Russia or other malign factors, China or others. And it's something I think in Kosovo, and not just in Kosovo, but there should be more people that run the media that are basically journalists or that have been journalists all of their lives, and less media that are owned by businessmen and other people whose main priority is not providing journalism. So I think that the two big challenges of maintaining independent journalism in Kosovo are, first of all, obviously financial stability. I think as anywhere else in Kosovo there are no printed newspapers since 2020, exactly because of financial issues and the pandemics. So it played a role basically in providing to people top quality journalism. So you need to have really a financial stability in order to be able to maintain your independence when it comes to editorial decisions, because otherwise you are prone to influences by big businesses or political parties. And the other challenge is obviously foreign malign influence, which is mainly coming in Kosovo from both Russia and Serbia through their propaganda, and this is particularly an issue with the Serbian minority in Kosovo.
Hello, my name is Galyna Ostapovets. I'm from Kiev, and speaking about the two biggest threats to independent journalism in Ukraine, in the opinion of my colleagues, it is the national television marathon Єдині новини. This idea worked at the beginning of Russia invasion, but now, after almost 2 years of war, it does not justify itself at all. The second factor is the large number of Telegram channels, a very popular messenger among Ukrainians, and this very harmful. After all, these channels, apart from media channels, are not subordinate to anybody and are not responsible for the content of information. Therefore, it is often unreliable or too emotional. About the second question, the state of Ukrainian journalists today is definitely better than it was even 3 years ago. Many journalists have become much more responsible for their text, check of information, don't publish unreliable data, and investigate politicians and people in power. But in order to preserve independence in journalism, neither the state nor politicals of various levels should interfere in it at all.
Hi everyone. I'm recording this just a few days after our Prime Minister announced that he is not going to communicate with a lot of the independent and mainstream media and other members of government and the parliament refused to let journalists into the parliament. They refused to have them record stuff at parliament, and they refused to let them enter the press conferences. So the biggest threats to medias right now come from the highest political level in the country, which is very hard to tackle. And what can we do about this problem? Basically, we need more solidarity. We need solidarity between journalists and between different media. So when this happened to some journalists, it happens to all of us, and we should stand in solidarity. And this doesn't go only for journalists, but also for our readers and viewers, who should also stand in solidarity and stand up when something like this happens to the media in the country.